And welcome back to another Warframe video. So we got a top 10 list for you today. Well, actually more like top 10 worst. The top 10 worst arcanes in all of Warframe. There are a lot of not very good arcanes in Warframe, but I think we found the worst of the worst. We'll be discussing those today. Before we get into this stuff with this for fun video, make sure to sub to this channel, do daily Warframe video uploads. We're going to have the new update Isle Weaver later in the month, and I'll be covering that extensively with meta farming guides and more. So let's hop right into what we got today, though. These are basically the arcanes to avoid, and some of these might be actually dropping in the 8 Claws clan event, because we did get confirmation arcanes will be farmable there. I'm assuming they'll be Deviri arcanes, and funny enough, Deviri arcanes have some pretty bad ones. Alright, first things first, the first worst arcane in the game. We could do some honorable mentions to start things off with, but I think we're not going to do that today. So, first, worst, basically the least worst on the list is going to be number 10, and that's going to be the first melee arcane on the list. We got Arcane Fortification, or rather Melee Fortification. What does Melee Fortification do? Well, let's go ahead and unequip our actual good melee arcanes. Take a look at this. On melee kill, plus 210 armor for 10 seconds. So yes, this melee arcane, this goes on your melee. It does not buff the damage at all. It does not buff anything involving killing enemies. It just buffs your survivability on your frame. And the funny thing is that the current meta of Warframe, what's been the meta for a couple years at least, is shield tanking and shield gating. So if you look at my health bar right now, I've got shields and HP, but only half of it is HP. And if you didn't know about armor in Warframe, armor does not buff the damage resistance of your shields. It only buffs the damage resistance of your HP. So if I get these kills on these enemies, which might be a little bit harder because I have no damage buffing arcane, you will see I've gotten 5 stacks of melee fortification. You might be like, oh, that actually sounds pretty good. You have like, you know, multiple thousand extra armor. And it does sound very good. But then the thing is, when you get in mission, you realize that these enemies are going to just chew through your health anyway. Unless you're building for like a full HP build, this is basically having a empty arcane slot. So I go ahead and jump in here. I mean, it's not going to be a great look. The enemy's killing me through my HP. Like right there. I'm life-stealing up to my cat at least. But yeah, not exactly, the armor is not doing anything here. It's just basically my cat's keeping me alive. So, an arcane that does basically nothing. It also requires multiple kills to sustain the stacks. Like, they're about 10 seconds each. But yes, the reason this is number 10 on the list is because there's actually some really good melee arcanes in this game that are very, very powerful. We're talking melee influence, we're talking melee exposure, we're talking melee crescendo, the list goes on, and this one just does basically nothing. Even the other low-tier melee arcane, melee retaliation, at least will give you some built-in extra damage. So gain 30% extra damage per 200 extra current shield, so I get 6% extra damage from that arcane. That's much more useful than getting like 1,000 armor that goes away in 10 seconds anyway. So that's gonna be number 10 on the list, the most useless melee arcane, Melee Fortification. Now we're going to move on to number 9 here. So these first couple, these are arcanes that aren't like the worst things ever made, but they're so bad that if you had other options, you would never actually run these. The next one is actually going to have to be low, on this list for a different reason. That's going to be Arcane Tempo. Arcane Tempo is a arcane just for Warframes, but it's even more stricter than that. It only works on Warframes, but it only works on shotguns. So we look at Arcane Tempo. I'm going to compare it and show you why it's on this list. So we go ahead and search Fire Rate. We'll look at the Fire Rate arcanes available in Warframe. So we've got Arcane Velocity. This works on all pistols. We've got Arcane Acceleration. This works on every primary besides shotguns. Keep that part in mind. And we look at Arcane Tempo, the one that's actually on this list. Increases fire rate for shotguns. So if we didn't have this restriction on Arcane Acceleration, this Arcane Tempo would not even need to exist. So what I'm saying is that this arcane literally could be removed from the game and then, you know, like folded into Arcane Acceleration, and it literally would be better for it. So this arcane is eating up a drop spot. Again, it is powerful for what it does. It does provide fire rate for shotguns, which is good. But, you know, things like Wisp Smokes buff everything. Whereas this arcane is only for a specific weapon type. We have another arcane like this on the list too. But yeah, it's not going to work on this Quanta Vandal I've got to equip because it's a rifle. We have to go with a shotgun like the Sobek or something. So yeah, pretty embarrassingly bad. It requires crits too. And crit shotguns like are a thing. But yeah, a lot of times they're more focused on status chance. So just go ahead and show. It's hard to even notice it proccing. Like, it is a lot of fire rate. But yeah, It's not on the list because it's a terrible arcane, it's on the list because it's like, why does this even exist? Why can't Arcane Acceleration just buff Fire Rate? It's probably some spaghetti code behind the scenes reason for Arcane Tempo being so restrictive like this, but yeah, it is definitely a shame that we have all these arcanes in the game. We have 3 Fire Rate arcanes there, and one of them is only specifically for shotguns, where the other ones are pretty much everything else. So that seems like a big shame to me, but that's going to be number 9. Not really a terrible arcane, but not an arcane that really even deserves to exist, in my opinion. Alright, moving on to one that is definitely, this is just straight up bad this time. We got Arcane Plated Rounds. Oh, by the way, as far as the drop location for those first 2, Melee Fortification drops from Kavia missions, and the Arcane Tempo drops from Eidolon fights, or technically, you know, Arcane events. So we've got Arcane Plated Rounds for the next one here. As far as what Arcane Plated Rounds does, primary Plated Rounds, when you reload your weapon, so on reload, deal increased damage per round loaded based on max magazine size, lasts for 10 seconds. So yes, it lasts for 10 seconds. So you have to drop your entire magazine, ideally you would, to get a 10-second buff. Now, it might be a high percentage. It doesn't require any kills. But if you look at it, like, you know, if we roll like 2 bullets, we're getting 11% damage for 10 seconds if you look at the top right corner. So in order to get any type of respectable damage buff, you need to hold down the button and, like, you know, drain your entire magazine. If we drain the entire magazine, like, sure, it will be a pretty high damage buff, but again, it's only gonna last for 10 seconds. So this one literally could use a big buff, in my opinion. Like, make it where, so there's 300% damage buff. So literally less damage than Merciless or Deadhead provides to you for all that work. So I would not recommend this one at all. But yes, I would say that if they want to make this one more usable, they need to actually make it where it lasts longer. So make the stacks last like 3 times as long. Make the stacks last until the next reload. You know, whatever you need to do. This arcade is crappy. It comes from, I believe it comes from Varuna missions too, so like Conjunction Survival, so not very hard to farm, but yeah, nobody uses this. I've only used this like, as an actual thing once before. We had a Wisp mode for Plague Star in the past, and it's like, that was probably not even the best option. Like, technically, when there's no kills around, you can use this, but yeah, you drop your entire magazine for a 10-second buff. It feels terrible. It's not even a large buff in the first place. I would not recommend that. I mean, it doesn't even, if you just saw that right there, you would know it's not even worth using. So as long as you have Merciless or Deadhead, or even Dexterity, you should run those over primary plated rounds. And that does drop from Varuna missions, as I stated. Alright, moving on to another, why is this not a very versatile arcane at all? Moving on to another Eidolon arcane. So next one on the list is going to be Arcane Momentum. So Arcane Momentum, it's a really easy arcane to get, but it's extremely restrictive in what it does. I would say that with a small rework, it could become quite nice. So what this does is, on critical hit, a 60% chance to increase reload speed for sniper rifles for 12 seconds. You heard that right. It only works on sniper rifles. So apparently DE doesn't think that any other weapons in the game need reload speed besides snipers. So I would say this is pretty obvious why this one is not the best. It only works on a specific weapon type that is not very popular. So do we have a button for snipers now? Precision rifles. So it's not going to work on like the Cerberus, it's not going to work on the Latron, it's only going to work on actual snipers. So we're talking like the Rubico Prime, we're talking the Vectis, we're talking the Coda Sporothrix, the Paragale, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. You can already tell right now how it's not the most. And also, it requires a crit, I believe. So good luck getting that on the Sporothrix. The Sporothrix has 5% crit chance. But either way, let's go ahead and see if we can actually proc it here with the Sporothrix. So yeah, I think this one could literally just be reworked to work for all primaries. Like, on critical hit, increased reload speed for all primaries. That sounds simple enough. We get the proc. I saw a crit there. It looks like that was proc. Okay, so it did proc in there, that big blob of enemies I was shooting. So it does technically work, but again, it only works on snipers, and it's eating up a Warframe arcane slot, too. Would you rather run Molt Augmented, Arcane Aegis, or would you rather run this for a time-limited reload buff that's only for shotguns, and honestly, only for snipers, and snipers reload pretty fast most of the time, too. So for like Vectis, for example, don't need this. Rubico, don't need this. For Sporothrix, you definitely don't need this, so it's just a pretty terrible arcane. At least it's easy to get. It's a common tier arcane that drops from Eidolons, but yeah, too restrictive, just like Arcane Tempo. At least Arcane Tempo has a very, very noticeable effect, I'd say. So, moving on to the next terrible arcane that is, you know, maybe not as terrible as it sounds, but is also just like, why would you ever use this? We got Arcane Doubleback. Now, this one's definitely very unique. So what Arcane Doubleback does is this, well, first off, this drops from Mere Defense to Trine missions, And what it does is when you do a parkour maneuver, it will actually buff your DR. So we're looking at right now, gain 25% damage reduction for 4 seconds per dodge, double jump, or bullet jump. Stacks it to 3 times. So yes, you see that right. 4 seconds from a dodge, bullet jump, or double jump to get 25% DR per maneuver. So you need to be constant. This is what you're doing if you're playing this. So what is it again? Like bullet jump, double jump, and roll. This is how you're playing the games. You're doing that. You're running around 75% DR for doing that. And if you drop any of those maneuvers, you are going to lose some of that DR and probably... Honestly, if you're using this in the first place, you're probably going to be dying anyway, just because you're using health tanking in the first place. So let me try this out. Keep in mind, I do have Rolling Guard equipped, so Rolling Guard will be eating up the cooldown of that by this Arcane. So, yeah. You have to go through combat doing this, basically. Now, 75% DR is relatively decent for what it is, but again, you are like, you basically can't use Rolling Guard in your playstyle. Well, my cats are OP. My cat just killed all those enemies. But yeah, it's like you're jumping around. You might as well have no Arcane equipped because enemies are actually less accurate at you while you're jumping around like this too. So they're gonna have a harder time hitting you. So yeah, because of how silly this is, and you can't use Rolling Guard, it's so many levels of bad and 4-second cooldown, 4-second stacks too. I would say this one could get buffed for sure. Maybe make it where it does not require rolls or dodging, because dodging, it literally, like I said, eats up Rolling Guard, which is annoying to some of us. 25% DR is okay per level. I mean, it could literally be 30% DR for all I care. But yeah, no one's using this. It's low stack percentage or low stack duration, goofy trigger requirements in the first place. Relatively weak effect for what we're like, how long the stacks are and what we mod for in Warframe 2025 nowadays. So I'd say this one's really, really bad, and I would not recommend using it. Although you probably realize that it's not worth using just by reading what it does. So. Yeah, that's Arcane Doubleback coming from Citrine's Missions. Okay, next one. This one's going to be a little bit harder to showcase because it does involve very specific things. But the next one, I think if I explain this to you, you might understand why it's low on the list. So we got next one being Magus Drive. Now, this one is going to be hard to show in the simulacrum, but basically Magus Drive is an arcane for your operator. And what does it do? Well, think of the worst thing possible and then make it a little bit worse. Magus Drive on transference increases K-Drive speed by 150% for 30 seconds. So yes, K-Drives. The skateboards, basically. Basically what your rally is riding around on, that. But here's the saddest part about the Arcane. The movement speed buff does not work on Yoreli's Merlina. So why would we even bother with this? And the answer is you wouldn't bother with this. Because Arcwings exist and Arcwings can fly over mountains, whereas K-Drives need to like drive over mountains. So, yeah. Yoreli can already be pretty fast with parkour shards, so 150% speed buff on this would be nice, but yeah, it does not actually work. So I'd not recommend that you ride K-Drives at all. So yeah, because of the fact that Arcwings are so easy to use in open world missions, and K-Drive speed being 150% faster is not going to even match the Arcwing anyway, it's just basically complete garbage. So anyone using this is just goofing around, basically. You would never actually equip this over the good arcanes for operator. We're talking Eternal Eradicate, Magus Repair, Magus Cloud. The list goes on, and that list does not contain Magus Drive, because Magus Drive is increasing K-Drive speeds in 2025. So, yeah, if you don't agree with that one, feel free to, let me know why you think it's good in the comments down below. But, yeah, the fact that it does not work on Yoreli's K-Drive is instant, dead in the water for me. Okay, so let's move on to the, we just cracked the top 5. So Magus Drive was the top 5. It literally increases K-Drive speed. Like, what are we even doing here? We're going to move on to another one that's actually very, very rare, but very, very bad. So we're going to move on to Arcane Barrier at number 4. Arcane Barrier is a legendary arcane that drops from Eidolon fights, and it's just basically entirely weaker than Arcane Aegis. So you've got Arcane Aegis right here on shield damage, 3% chance to give crazy shield regeneration for 12 seconds, and then Arcane Barrier, the legendary variant of this. On shield damage, a chance to instantly restore all shields, but it has a cooldown. And you also might notice, if you look closely, the cooldown of the effect goes up with rank. So you start at level 1, or rather level 0, 1% chance to trigger, and a 1-second cooldown. Level 2, 2-second chance to 2-second cooldown, 2% chance to proc, and it goes all up to 6% chance to proc with a 6-second cooldown. So not only does this become worse as you level it up in a way, but it's also a weaker effect than Arcane Aegis. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in there with Arcane Aegis to show you how tanky you are with Arcane Aegis on Yoreli. and then I'm going to show you with Arcane Barrier how it's just basically complete garbage comparatively. So I'm going to unpause the enemies. I'm probably going to jump on Merlina as well. Let's just go ahead and take a quick peek at how the energy or the shield regen goes. So look at my shield bar. As you can see, it's not going to even go to Arcane Age is already proc. I'm literally unkillable for the next, like, 6 seconds. So pretty good on that front. And once it breaks, like, yes, we can technically die. But with this shield, with my Yoreli build, you pretty much aren't going to die if you watched my video the other day. Yep, we're not dead. So, as you can see, Arcane Age is godly. We're going to go ahead and show the legendary version of this that's worse. So, expect to see a dead Yoreli very shortly. Okay, so we take off the really good Arcane, we put on the really bad Arcane, and we wonder why it's legendary, honestly. And if you were to actually get the answer, it's because it probably was much more effective back in the day, but now that shield getting is the way it is, it's just a lot worse than before. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on Yorelis, Merlina again, and as you can see, actually, let's get uninvincible for a second first. Arcane Barrier has already triggered, and the effect cannot re-trigger while active, and then my shield's going down really fast. K-Drive got killed, and yeah, so there you go. So there's what you get from Aegis, or sorry, from Barrier. You get one shield restore, and then you're basically GG if they can kill you again in 6 seconds. So it's just strictly worse than Aegis. I mean, I take it back. The only thing it has better than Aegis is the proc percentage. It's 6% versus 3% on Aegis, but yes, Aegis is basically just strictly better in basically every way. So I'd recommend that you just basically turn Arcane Barrier into Phosphor, or tell DE to rework this one, because it really needs it. So, yeah. And that's the only one of the only legendary arcanes in this list. I try to be pretty reserved with some of this stuff, like not putting Secondary Shiver on here because Secondary Shiver is actually usable. Not putting Arcane Reaper on here because Arcane Reaper is actually usable. They're not the most powerful effects in the whole game. This one just actually is crappy. All right, moving on to the last three. These are some of these top three. These are the big three of wow. Those are really, really, really bad arcanes. No one would ever use these. Even if it was the only arcane you had, maybe use it for an extra revive, but yeah, we're looking at some bad ones here. Let's start off with a really bad one, Secondary Kinship. Now, Secondary Kinship drops from Mere Defense, basically the Citrine missions, and it's for your Secondary Pistol. So what this one will do is that, well, first let's take off our really good arcane to look at this one. Secondary Kinship. While buffing an ally, gain 20% crit chance per buff. It might sound good reading it like, oh, is that like Avenger additive crit chance on my weapon? No, it's not. It's actually like a multiplicative increase. Now, it is an additive increase with other crit chance mods, but yes. So if we are buffing other allies' warframes, we get 20% crit chance per buff. Thankfully, the people on the wiki did a really good job testing what does work, and for the most part, frames that get like big stacks would be Octavia and Wisp. So for Octavia and Wisp, Octavia can get 24 total buffs, and everyone on her team gets every single buff picked up. And Wisp can get 12 buffs. So, it's not really that much. If you look at some of the crit chance mods we have in this game, you're basically getting like, let's see, where's the crit chance mod? You're getting a little bit over a Prime Pistol Gambit on like frames like Wisp, which is really not a lot for how much work you go through. Not to mention, you're actually replacing good arcanes to throw this on here. So we look at my crit build on here. We have a new arcane called Secondary Enervate. On hit, increase crit chance by 10%, resets after 6 big crit hits. So this actually gives you additive crit chance, which means my weapon that has 60% crit chance with 1 stack of this goes to 26%, 2 stacks, 36, so on and so forth. Whereas with this arcane, 1 stack of this would take me from 16% crit chance to like 18% crit chance. Do you see what I mean? Secondary Enervate is like a million times better than Secondary Kinship, and it's also not conditional on the frame either. So for example, on Yoreli, I would be not really able to buff my teammates as much, so Secondary Kinship would do literally nothing. Especially when you're solo too. Like, I have no one to buff, so how am I supposed to get any Secondary Kinship stacks? So, yeah, guys, not really one you should be looking to rock. I'd say this is with Crux, right? Or this is with Enervate right now. Just show you how Enervate is. Enervate is what you should use over this terrible arcane any day of the week, because Enervate can give you red crits, orange crits, and all that good stuff. Very easy. Basically no effort required. No teammates required for that matter, too. Yeah. Do yourself a favor and don't ever use Secondary Kinship. I have definitely warned you, so. If we just show right now, like I literally spawn in, it's doing nothing at all. I can't buff anyone that's not here, so I can at least buff my cat. Give me 20% crit chance. So we go from 16% to like 18% crit chance if I buff my cat, so. Big yikes on that one. I'd recommend that you do. Like, you could honestly run any arcane in the game over that one, and I would appreciate you more for it. Okay, so that one's terrible. let's go over the last two. The last two most terrible arcanes. Now the first, number 2 is going to be from Deviri. So like I said, you will be probably getting this one a drop during 8 Claws. It's instant Vostor unless DE reworks it. Also, if you guys like this video, let me know if you want a different type of video in the future. Maybe like underwhelming arcanes, overrated arcanes, etc., etc. Just let me know and I will maybe make another one pretty soon. But we've got the next one, Arcane Intention. Now this one is so niche that I don't even know any frames in the game that would actually use it. So Arcane Intention is going to be buffing your frame's HP per channeled active ability. So you will gain 250 maximum HP per channeled ability. So yeah, it gives you like, I think on Equinox you get 2 of them. You get 2 of them on Equinox. So okay, I take it back. If you put Gloom Equinox, you can have 3 of them. So yeah, I'm not gonna even equip that. But as you can tell from the description, you get 250 extra HP per channeled ability. So on a Gloom Equinox, I believe that's the most in the game you can get. You have 3 channeled abilities, you get 750 extra health. So you'd like subsume off like your 2 for Gloom, you'd use your 3rd ability, Pacify and Provoke for a channeled ability, use your ulti for a channeled ability as well. That would be 750 extra HP, which Equinox doesn't even need in the first place, because Equinox can like do shield regen with her 4. So pretty awful. I mean, she's technically a healer, but yeah, I think I'd rather use arcanes like Arcane, Energize, Multi-Augmented, etc., on Equinox, just because who needs, like, it's literally a shield gating build. Who needs 750 extra HP when I even put Gloom on there in the first place? Enemies should be slowed if you're getting healed to full in 1 hit. It's just not a good idea. It's just not a good arcane. So, Arcane Intention, throw it in the trash bin. But here comes the worst arcane in the entire game, guys. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the whole video. If you got this far, make sure you hit that sub button. If you're not subbed already, hit the like button as well. I really appreciate you guys watching the whole video. The worst arcane in the entire game, even worse than Arcane Doubleback, is Arcane Bodyguard. Yes, I bet a lot of you didn't even know this existed. This is the worst arcane in the whole game. I'm going to explain to you right now why it's so terrible. Let's first read what it does. On 6 melee kills within 30 seconds, heal your companion by 900 health. That's all it does. And this is a arcane for your Warframe. So honestly, if they want to make this one not as useless, this should just go on your companion or something. When you get 6 kills in 30 seconds, you heal the companion by 900. That's better than what it's doing right now. It's just taking off Multi-Augmented or Arcane Fury. So we get 6 kills. Now I want to let you know why it's so bad. There's a mod called Prime Pack Leader. There's also a normal Pack Leader for that matter too. When you get a hit from your melee, it will grant HP, or it will heal your companion. So 183 health per hit, not per kill. And also, it can give your companion Overguard if it goes over their HP. So, unlike the other terrible Arcane Bodyguard, this mod that's on your companion, which it's going to be benefiting, is going to give easier HP, it's going to give Overguard, and it's also, again, not going to eat your frame's arcane slot. So let's just go ahead and see if I can even get 6 kills in 30 seconds of melee kills here to heal Venari, because Venari is actually full health, so you're not going to even see it working either. So many levels of no, please, no. But yeah, so go ahead and get some Overguard for Venari and Zombie Cat. So you can see Venari's got Overguard now. Did we get any kills there? So those are the stacks for... Oh, I still got Melee Fortification equipped. Which one of these are the stacks for Arcane Bodyguard? I don't even know which one it is, so... yeah, as you can see, like, my cats are full health. If I have a even somewhat respectable build of my cat, they'll be full health. Not to mention, the Panzer Cat can heal himself up pretty easily, too. So he does not need my help to actually heal. So it's an irrelevant effect. It's an irrelevant arcane. It's an effect that actually is, if you do deem it to be a relevant effect, can be easily modded on your companion and not sacrifice things like Arcane Fury or Arcane Augmented or whatever amazing arcane you want to run instead of this trash. So this comes from arbitrations. It could literally, like I said, if they make companion arcane someday, I can see this going, like being moved from the frame onto the companion. But until that day comes, this is the worst arcane in Warframe. And if you think Arcane Intention is worse, like, sure, they're both really, really terribly bad. But yeah, this one's gold and that one's silver too. So that's me basically for the video, guys. Had some honorable mention we did on stream, but I think I'm going to call it a video here because it's been long enough. Yeah. If you have any arcanes you think should have been on this list, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video and stream. Take it easy, guys. Peace.